welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair, bringing you another exciting episode of That VidBlaster Guy. This is episode number, we stopped counting. It just was one of those things that I just didn't think it was important. We can all say, oh boy, episode number 23 was so exciting, so wonderful. I don't know what about episodes. It's let's just go by the subject matter. It's the content that's king anyway. It doesn't matter when or what sequence it was, but the content. And today's content is going to be really interesting. As you recall, if you've watched us before, we've split the show, That VidBlaster Guy, into two segments. The first segment is all VidBlaster. VidBlaster all the time. That's what we're going to call it, VidBlaster all the time. The second segment is a little bit more generic. We branch out and talk about other things besides just VidBlaster. And that is our new show called Streaming Idiots. And it'll be on the VidBlaster channel, at least for the foreseeable future. We've got our last alpha show today, alpha show number 6. So we are keeping track of the Streaming Idiots. It'll be alpha show number 6, and then we'll be moving into the betas as we get the rest of our act together. And then maybe in 4 or 5 weeks, we'll be ready for prime time. But alpha shows are cool because they allow you to make mistakes, and you can't really be blamed for them because it's an alpha show. What the heck? Of course, it's not ready for prime time. That VidBlaster Guy show is intended to talk about my favorite software, VidBlaster, that allows you to do all sorts of cool things with a PC, a camera, and the internet. It's wonderful. And the theme of this show has been one guy with one PC doing one awesome broadcast. Now, I've been going on this for almost 2 years, and we're still working on the awesome broadcast part. But we got the one guy, one PC part down. But today, we're going to deviate from that just a bit. Still one guy, but I want to talk about how to use a second PC. You say, why would you want to use a second PC? Well, we'll have to tell you about that in just a second. Going on today out in Las Vegas, actually this week in Las Vegas, is the National Association of Broadcasters Convention, NAB, you may know it as, where broadcasters, mostly I would think TV folks, maybe radio folks from all over the U.S. gather for this convention and look at new products and hear speakers and go to workshops, the convention kind of stuff. Well, our industry, or our micro industry, this micro broadcasting that we do, or niche broadcasting, or boutique broadcasting, whatever we want to call it, where one guy with one PC can broadcast to the whole world, that has now getting a pretty good following at NAB. There are tons of guys that are micro broadcasters out there. A lot of them are giving back daily or sometimes hourly reports of what's going on. A lot of products out there are being released, hardware and hardware-software combinations that are intended for this micro broadcasting market. Of course, VidBlaster is one of those products, and there's not a VidBlaster a booth with just VidBlaster on it per se, but there are products out there that incorporate VidBlaster into them. So VidBlaster is present at NAB. I think if you follow Mike Versteeg on Twitter or on Facebook, I believe it's just VidBlaster probably, he has had some posts of folks that were there with products that incorporated VidBlaster. So that's pretty exciting. And maybe one day we'll get a VidBlaster booth out at NAB. That would be fun to do. I'm going to save my pennies and maybe one day can make the trip out to Las Vegas. It's pretty good ways. One of the things being introduced at NAB for a future release is something from Microsoft. Now, remember, Microsoft purchased Skype a while back and is in the process of putting together a Skype hybrid that will be dedicated for just broadcasting use. I suspect this is going to be broadcasting a la Fox News, CNN, BBC, the big boys, the ones that have the big checkbooks. It's a hardware-software solution, and it will give a dedicated feed of video, high-definition video, and high-quality or high-fidelity audio, however audio is classified. Whatever it is, it's going to be the best of the best on the video and the audio end, with the ability to adjust lip sync and do all sorts of other adjustments. And obviously keep the frame. You know, that's one of the problems that you have in VidBlaster. If you have multiple guests, or it's true as, it's not a problem in VidBlaster, it's a problem in Skype. If you have multiple guests on a multiple Skype session and you lose one of your guests, suddenly the screen reconfigures itself. And if you're using VidBlaster to capture an image or a video image on there, then suddenly that's all wonky and it doesn't work right. The promise is that Microsoft will open up Skype a little bit so that you can get into the inner workings, maybe something from an SDK, an API, where you can capture that video directly and bring it in a la a camera as opposed to a screen capture. That would be a great solution. Now, I suspect going in, you know, first time out of the box, you know, it's I wouldn't say it's new technology, but it's hybrid new technology or new hybrid technology. It's going to be pricey. It's not going to be something that you and I can afford at this point, but it may spin off and have a light version in the future that might be more affordable. Will be interesting to see. It's not supposed to be released until first quarter 2015, which means it could come early, it could come late, but it's not going to be there today. So don't. But you could start saving up today. That would be one way to do it. Yep. So that's what I think is the biggest news so far from NAB. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of what I said earlier about a second PC. Why would you want to use a second PC with VidBlaster? Well, here's why. Take a deep breath here because I'm going so far off the farm on this one because I've been a one-man, one PC guy from, early on. But there has been a situation where I think it's justified. I had an individual approach me about, 6 weeks ago, something like that, to talk about something they wanted to do. They're a video company, and they have a contract with a racetrack, auto racing, and they want to do live stream. And they want to take the live stream and they want to record it so that it's available video on demand later. And they want to take the live stream and throw it up on the Jumbotron there at the racetrack. And they want to have a whole bunch of high-definition cameras. And they want to do... and they also want to record all the video from each one of those cameras individually. And they want to do instant replay, the slow motion kind, on all 8 of those cameras. You see where I'm going with this. This is getting big and big and bigger and bigger and bigger. And suddenly it doesn't fit into one box anymore. I'm thinking, and it may be not so much the hardware limitation as the personal limitation. How can one guy do all that stuff? I'm one man, one PC, but I've got a pretty simple setup in front of me. I mean, I've got 35 modules in front of me, so it's not that simple. But I've been able to use macros to make things. I mean, I've got a macro that I can go straight to my pre-show screen, and pow, here I am, just a regular guy in pre-show. Or another macro where I can put it all back together again. Other macros that do other things, so that by the punch of a button, on my controlling surface right here, a la a keyboard, I can make VidBlaster do multi-functions with one keystroke. That's really nice. But I don't know that I would be able to keep up with 8 cameras live switching, doing graphics, and also controlling instant replay. So as I talked to this guy about what his needs were, and he was telling me, Tom, this is what I need, and he had some ideas of how it might be split up or how the workflow might be handled. And as we talked it through, it became pretty evident that yes, at least 2 different PCs were going to be needed. One of them probably dedicated just to instant replay. Again, instant replay, 8 different cameras. So that's 8 different shots that you're trying to track as to what's the best. Now, one of the beauties of VidBlaster is if you tell the instant replay, hey, here's an endpoint, and at 23:01 minutes and seconds, I want you to start, and at 23:14, 13 seconds later, I want you to stop. When VidBlaster records that, if you've got instant replay set up on one camera, it records it for one camera. If you've got it set up on 3 cameras, it has it for all 3 cameras. So in our case, if we have 8 cameras, the press of a button in and another button out has now given us 8 different clips, one for each camera, and that we can review those and play those sequentially, or, you know, I don't know that we would, well, anyway, we'll talk about that later when we get to that point. But we needed to have a PC pretty well dedicated just to the instant replay function. But once you get the instant replay, you've got to be able to get that video, whatever video it is that you want the folks at home and the folks at the racetrack to see. You got to get that video out from the instant replay PC and in to the streaming PC. So that necessitates, I don't always use big $10 words. Most of the time I'm using 50-cent words. But that means that we need to have some sort of way of getting that video out from one PC and into the next PC. And we don't want to lose any quality. So if we're doing high definition in to instant replay with our 8 HD cams, we want to have high definition out to the other PC. Well, VidBlaster was designed to do exactly that. Now, it needs some hardware assistance. You got to have some, the right capture card. For this particular build, I selected the Blackmagic Intensity Pro card for both the input on the streaming PC and the output on the instant replay PC. Number one, I thought, okay, these 2 cards, they're made by the same company, they're the same card. It's like a pair of twins. They're going to talk to each other better than 2 cards that don't know each other, that didn't grow up together. You get it? Get what I'm saying? And sure enough, it was amazingly simple. I've got a video here I'm going to cue up in just a second of that process. Hey, Marcus, glad to have you. The quality of this video is really poor because, again, I'm not a videographer. I'm not a broadcaster. I'm just a dad that that took pictures of his son's soccer games and put them up on the internet, and then one day turned around and was broadcasting live soccer. In fact, we did a soccer match last night. It was a ton of fun. Had crazy kids running the cameras, but, other than that, it was fun. I hope some of you were able to tune in live. The coach won't let me post the recorded video of the matches until later on in the season. I guess he doesn't want other teams scouting him, but it was just a ton of fun to have all those kids up there and do that. Anyway, I digress. So I've got this video. The audio's awful. I'll tell you that right now. I made a mistake when I took the video. I took it at 60 frames a second, and then I just, that just doesn't play well. Should have taken it 30 frames a second and been done with it, but I'll know better next time. So I think I hear my neighbor starting up his lawnmower. So if you hear a little background noise, that's what it is. It's not the puppies. I can control them, but I can't control the neighbor. So anyway, let's get in. This is a good time to get into our video, and I'll turn the mic off and we'll cue up our Intensity Pro video. Be right there. Hi, it's Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. I want to talk to you about taking high definition video from one PC and sending it over to a second PC, and this would be a hardwire connection, something that's in the same room or close by. What we've got here is a couple of PCs that we're building for a client. Each one of the PCs, in addition, You know, each PC has got a pair of Blackmagic DeckLink quad cards in it, so a total of H high definition inputs. The idea was that one of the PCs would be used as primarily a video replay PC that would send the replay over to the second PC that would be used for live switching and graphics and recording and streaming. And so to do that, we have installed a Blackmagic Intensity Pro card in each one of the PCs and connected them by an HDMI cable. The configuration was pretty simple. I'll walk you through that in just a second. Basically, it's, you know, the output of one PC on that Intensity Pro card to the input on the other. So let's take a look at exactly how we configured that. Here's our Blackmagic Intensity Pro card, that little teeny one right there. And here's the output right there. The big connector on the top is for a dongle that does component and composite. And then you've got two HDMIs on the bottom. The HDMI on the very bottom is an input. The one in the middle is the output. And that's going to go over here to a second PC that has the exact same configuration, Blackmagic Intensity Pro, and in this case it's coming in to the input on the bottom. We're using only one keyboard and one mouse and one monitor, and we're sharing that through a KCM switch from TrendNet. Okay, this is the sending PC, and we have got two modules already loaded. With the large module is the program module, and the small module in the top left hand corner is a player module. If we go to the video menu and check resolution, we can see that our global resolution in VidBlaster is 1280 by 720, and if we go to frame rate, we can see the frame rate is 30. Now that's the resolution and frame rate that VidBlaster is operating at internally. So if we save something or if we stream something and we use default settings, that's what it's going to use for the default settings. I've loaded the player up with a video that was submitted by Christopher Barron in the March 2013 VidBlaster giveaway contest. It's a 1080p video. It's got a little bit of a pink tint to it, and that's because that's the way it was recorded in the studio. We're going to add a module, so modules, add, output. We're going to add an output module, drag that down there where we can see it better, and set program as this is our source program. Whoops, there's the VidBlaster trial version window popping up to tell us we're in trial version. Back here in the output module, we've set program as our source. We're going to go down to our destination and select Intensity Pro. That's our Blackmagic Intensity Pro card. And then we want to configure the output, so we're going to set our display mode as 1280 by 720, which is HD 720p 60 frames a second. You need to make a note of that because you're going to set that on the other side in just a minute. So we'll set that, and then we'll turn the module on, so now it's sending. And now let's switch over to our receiving PC. And we've got one module loaded up. That's the program window that you see there. And our video is set. The resolution is set for 1280 by 720. Frame rate set for 30. We're going to go to modules, add. In this case, we're going to add a camera module because that's what's going to receive the feed. And basically, it just thinks that the Intensity Pro is a camera. So we'll select camera 3 as our type of module. And let's put that right there. We go. And the Intensity Pro on a camera side is called a DeckLink Video Capture. So we'll select DeckLink Video Capture, and we know of all the different ones that are available here, this one is from the Intensity Pro. The others are from our DeckLink Quad. And now we'll right click to configure that. So we'll say the resolution is 1280 by 720 and the frame rate is 60. And there's our video, and we can cut and send it to the program module, and we now have 720 video coming in That's on the receiving end, and then we'll flip over to the sending end, and this is what it looks like on the sending side. And let's see, take a look at, we'll look at the microphone there, and we'll switch over to the receiving set and see if the detail is there. Oh, it switched over to a different scene. Let's see if it goes back to the other scene. Yeah, it looks like the same video that we're sending and receiving. So what we did on the sending side is we set up an output module with the source as our program, that is what's in the big window right there, and our destination was our Intensity Pro card, and then we right-clicked our module and selected our display mode, in this case for 1280 by 720 HD, which is governed by our video resolution that we set up here earlier. That is, it's not going to send out, well, I take that back, it will send out a higher definition video because our video right here is capable of playing at that higher definition. Okay, and then on our receiving side, we've got, oh, our video went a little wonky here for a second. Let's switch back. That's probably in this switch. And we'll switch back to the receiving side. Yeah, that's the TrendNet switch. You'll just have to bear that. We took a camera 3 module. We set the video resolution for 1280 by 720. And we set the frame rate for 60 to match the sending information that we had in the DeckLink quad on the sending side. So the output here is set for that same 1280 by 720, 60 frames a second. So we're sending 1280 by 720, 60 frames a second, and we're receiving 1280 by 720. Oh, there it is. It's trying to get back to the right resolution. 60 frames a second. So in VidBlaster, that's how you send video from one PC to another PC. We're just using an HDMI cable going from an Intensity Pro card in one PC to an Intensity Pro card in another PC. And in this particular application, the build that we're working with here, the intent is for the sending PC to be sending the instant replay video to the receiving PC. The receiving PC, in addition to receiving that video of instant replay, will also be receiving video from 8 cameras live, so it'll have 9 different video sources, 8 live sources, and then a replay source from the PC number 2. We could add another Intensity Pro card to our streaming PC, our receiving PC, and add another camera to that, or receive a video feed from a different source, or, as we may do, we'll just have to see in this particular application, we may have to add an Intensity Pro card to send video out to the Jumbotron there at the racetrack. Anyway, that's how you do it, guys. I'm Tom Sinclair. Shoot me an email, tomsinclair@vidblasterguide.com, if you'd like more information, or if you're interested in talking with me about a PC build. I'm happy to do that. Again, we try to shoot for quality and longevity, things that work right the first time. Shoot me an email, tom@vidblasterguide.com, and thanks for tuning in. All right, folks, there you go. I apologize for the audio. I am not a video guy when it comes to producing my own videos. Live video I love, and had I been able to pull those 2 monster PCs here into the studio, could have connected them up to my regular studio sound system, but I was working with what I would call at very best a jury rig system there in the workshop to get those built and demonstrated. But I was really fascinated by the whole process. It's always exciting when things work exactly the way you designed, and that really did. So I think the client's going to be really happy with that, to basically shooting video, and it just appears as a camera source. So in their workflow, obviously there'll have to be some communication between the 2 operators. Now we'll have VidBlaster broadcast edition on the streaming PC, because it's going to need all the modules that the broadcast has. I mean, you figure it's going to have 8 cameras plus the 1 camera input from the other PC, so that's 9. It's going to have a program module, that's 10. It'll have a recorder, that's 11. It's going to be streaming, so it'll be using the streamer or the output module, so that's 12. And then, when you start talking about overlays for all the different things that would go on a racetrack, they probably want another 10 overlay modules, so you're up to 20, and then the ability to play pre-recorded video, which would be commercials, and pre-recorded interviews, down in the pits when they interview the drivers, that kind of thing. So there's another 2 or 3 modules that would be set up. And then you figure, okay, well, they're going to want to have some still store modules to have some backdrops like this if they do something with a green screen. Before you know it, you've busted through the 25 module limit of the Studio Edition. Now on the replay machine, on the instant replay machine, I think the Studio Edition is going to do fine, because we're not going to need nearly as many modules, because you figure, well, we've got our 8 cameras. We've got the 8 replay sources, 1 for each camera, so you're at 16 right there. And then the replay controller and the replay playlist, so that brings you to 18. You need a program module, that's 19. And you need an output module, that's 20. You're not taking audio from any of this. Remember, the instant replay video is just video. So you've got really pretty basic setup on the instant replay side. Now, the instant replay machine, the configuration of that particular hardware is that there is a single, one hard drive that's 2 terabytes that is set up to be shared by 2 cameras. So you'll be able to record and that's just as a scratch drive, because it's got to put the video somewhere. And the duration of a race, I think is somewhere in the range of 30, 40 minutes, something like that. So the workflow again would mean that they wouldn't have to record hours and hours of video, but that it could be reset and cleared out in between races. And I think on the streaming side, the recording process of recording all 8 cameras there plus recording the stream would be the kind of thing that would be stopped periodically and saved as well. I'm looking forward to configuring the VidBlaster macro function to start the recording for all 8 cameras simultaneously and to stop the recording for all 8 cameras at the same time as well. I suspect they'll be off by perhaps 1 frame each from the first camera to the last camera. So they might be off 8 frames, but you can adjust that in post if you're trying to do that. And that would be the purpose, is so that they can pick up something in post if they need to. If they need to have a feed of something that just didn't make it into the live screen. I mean, you figure you've got 8 cameras, only 1 camera is going to be active, the active camera, the live camera at any point in time. So, you've got 7 cameras that nobody's seeing except the operator. They're going to record all that. And my guess is that information will come in handy. If they're making highlight videos later, something like that, you never know. I suspect that the way, and I look forward to talking to my client. He's flying in next week, and he's going to spend a day with me as we walk through all this stuff and take pages and pages of notes, and then he's going to drive back up to Michigan with all these beasts in his back seat. But I suspect his workflow will probably change as he goes along. But I know that he doesn't intend to have 8 camera operators. I think a lot of these cameras are going to be fixed cameras at various points around the track, focused on the entry to turn 1, the exit of turn 2, the entry to turn 3, the exit of turn 4, the finish line, probably one on a certain area of the pits, and then probably have a couple of cameras that are manned. So it's going to be a pretty exciting operation. And there's, obviously the thought, if this works well for them, that they will want to duplicate it, because I think they plan on basically passing over the ownership of all this PC equipment to the racetrack and letting them produce their own in the future. They're just kind of getting them off the ground. Well, that's it for segment 1. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope if you're watching live that you'll stick around. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back for segment 2 in just a minute. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. It's been a pleasure to bring this part of the show to you, and we will be back with the rest of the show in just a minute. So stick around.